In this recording, we will see how to create a star schema of the multidimensional model, meaning we will take the table we created last video and we will turn it to a star schema. What do I mean by that? Okay, first I go into the website, I go into the BI, and in the BI, let's go now into the ETL process, and this time we'll go to index dimensional and fact tables. There are two examples, okay, part 1 and part 2. I recorded those ones in Hebrew, and I'm going to do something similar in English, and that's why I'm doing this recording, okay? Our objective is to have this type of a structure. We went over that already in class, but I think that would be helpful to have a video with all the steps that I'm doing to create this one, okay? The only things we really need is the SQL in the bottom here. So I'm clicking and it's going to be downloaded. I already have my SSMS open, okay? So I can, if I will double click on that SQL, of course, it will open automatically on to the SSMS. Double click, and here we go. I'm getting the SQL. Everything we're going to do to create the star schema, it's in this SQL file. Okay, this one already look familiar to us. This one allows us to turn Amos, PTO, DW Amos into the default SQL. And this one, and that's what it does here. And the rest, I said, as I said in the previous sessions, when I create tables, it needs some default stuff. That's the purpose of those commands. And we're not going to go over those ones. Since I already created this project, and to make sure that I don't duplicate tables that I already have, we have drop table. And the command drop table we saw before, the only things I added is if exist. And in my case, it exists. In your case, if you're just starting it from scratch, you won't have those tables. So those commands will do nothing. In my case, it actually will delete all those tables. Please notice, I delete first the fact task table because this is the fact table, and all those tables we're going to connect to this one in the end of this exercise. So when I have some tables, okay, that are connected to another table, I have to delete first the table that they are depending on. Otherwise, I will get an error. If I try to delete the DIM department first, and I have a link already between this table to this one, it will not let me. I will have to delete first this one, and then I will be able to delete this one. So that's why I put the order that I delete the fact first, and then the DIM tables after that. So let's run it. So all what it does, it really deletes all the tables that I already created previously. Let's see what we have here. Here we create tables. We already know how to create a table. We saw it in the previous video. I'll just go over it, and there's a little trick here. This is the command to create a table called dim location. Create table, and that's going to be dim location, and it's going to be in this database, okay? How many columns I'm going to have? 2, P key and location. The first one is going to be small integer. The second one is going to be characters. How many characters? 10. And will allow me to put all the languages because I have the N. There is a new things here that I added called identity. And the job of this one is that this column will be populated by the database, okay? So I won't have to put any data in this column. And this is really going to be functioning as a primary key, okay? And how do I know this is going to be functioning as a primary key? Because if you look at the constraint, by the way, just this part of the command telling him that P key going to be a primary key. Cluster, that means the way it's going to manage it. So I won't get into it again, also, just leave it there. But it's going to use the P key as a primary key, and it's going to organize the number in ascending order, okay? And just to make sure that the numbers will be unique, and it will add it automatically, so I don't have to worry about it, I added the identity here. It's going to start from number 1, and for every new row, it's going to add 1, okay? So the last thing here, it says not null. In fact, this one comes to say that this column cannot be empty, cannot be null, cannot be, you cannot leave it empty, okay? That's what it says. But in fact, by putting identity, I'm making sure that this condition will be fulfilled. So even if I didn't put it, it will be just fine. It will keep it because it's identity, okay? But I leave it just for from a lot of, like of a standard that usually a primary key you put and not null. And if you don't put the identity and you don't forget, you don't get into trouble. So that's a classical way of writing a primary key column. Okay, let's run this one, and we having our first dimensional table created. Let's look at the second command. Second command has exactly the same structure. The only thing it says the month, okay? But there is one little difference. I did not put identity here. The reason is because although it's going to be a primary key, as we have here, primary key, I'm going to fill this column by myself. And I will explain later on why I'm doing it, okay? So this table is going to be exactly similar to the first one. The only difference is that the first column, although it's a primary key, I'm going to fill it up by myself. So let's run this one. And we'll have a second table created. By the way, the third and the fourth tables are exactly the same as the first one, also include identity, meaning they're going to fill all the columns. They're going to fill the first column. The database is going to fill it, okay? So the last one, the fourth one, exactly the same structure. Only difference is that I have another column that with a different name, okay? But all of them have 2 columns each. Okay, finish creating the dimension tables. The dimension tables are empty for now. By the way, let's look at the schema. We created those 4 tables, one surrounding the fact table, okay? They are empty now. I'm gonna fill them up with the data. So let's see how do we do it. Let's go down. Here we're filling up the tables. As we saw in the first video, the select is selecting data. And what am I selecting, by the way? I'm selecting data from task DW, the one we filled last time, and I'm selecting the column type. Here, in fact, since I'm selecting the column type, I didn't really need that one. This one is giving what will be the name of the column after I'm selecting it, okay? Let's do it simply, and then I will, let's just put it this way, okay? I will delete the whole things. This one, it's really only selecting the column type. That will do the job, okay, as far as selecting the right column. If I run it, I will get one column with all the field, budget repeating many times, and forecast repeating many times. Remind you, a dimension table, I will have one row for each type. So I really need only 2 columns, 2 rows here, okay? So that's why I'm adding the distinct. The distinct, let me remove this one, and I'll get back to that one again later on. Now I'm telling him, select the column type, but please just give me only unique. Don't repeat yourself, okay? So instead of getting 192 rows, I should get as many as special words there are, and there are only 2, budget and forecast. That's why I'm getting only 2. So distinct means give me only distinct values, okay? If you see the title, it says type with a little t. That means whatever I write here, if I just type something just for education purposes, I'm going to remove it, of course, in a second. If I run it, the column will be whatever I type, it doesn't like me. Why? I have no idea. Let's see, maybe too low. No, it should be fine. Let me see one more time. Invalid column name. Why it doesn't like me? There's no column like that. Sorry about it. Okay. That's why I have the as type. And now if I type whatever I would like, that's the column. It will pull the type column, but it will give it a name, whatever I type here. So let's run it. It will pull the type. Okay, it does pull, it pulls through, but you see, just give me the name, whatever I typed here. There's no reason really for me to put such a garbage name, of course. I probably will put just the type like that one. Okay, so this is telling me what I'm putting and how do I want to call it in the new select. Many times it's very important so I can distinguish and know really the name of the column. And that one, if you notice, if I run it, it will give me a type. This one, capital T, although it's putting it up from a table with a little t. Okay. That's for naming a column after I pull it. Okay. Now that I have the data, I want to insert it into the dim type. Remind you, the dim type have two columns. Let's open it. Okay. Let's open it. Let's look at Amos and let's look at the type. And dim type supposed to be empty as of now. Let's look at it. And dim type indeed is empty. And it has only two columns, as you can see here, type, key, and type. But if you look at the SQL, I am only pulling one column. And I'm going to insert, it's getting crazy. Here we go. Okay, good. I'm putting only one column, and I'm going to insert into this table only one column, okay? Why I'm inserting only one column and not the other one? Because the other one is going to be filled automatically. I call that identity column. So by running this one, I'm inserting one column, but the two columns will be filled, okay? Here we go. Two rows indeed entered. And if I look now at the other SQL and run it, I should get the whole. That's the one that I entered, and those were filled automatically because I defined the identity when I created the table. Okay, beautiful. Why do we need the first column? The row, sorry, the first row, truncate does emptying the table. So in case, if I will run that multiple times, I always will have two rows, okay? It will not answer them again and again, okay? It will first empty the table and then we'll do the insert. In fact, if I will run it, it will empty the table and then insert it. But, okay, so if I go here again, run it, I will see that I have only two columns. Let's see what happened if I didn't empty the table first and run that few times. Here I'm running it 1, 2, 3, just for the fun of it, and go back to here. If I run, okay, this command again, you will see I'm getting multiple times, 1, 2, 3, 6 times. It's repeating itself. Every time I insert it, it's giving new numbers because I'm not filling the column, okay? And it's repeating itself and definitely not what I really want. To make sure it's not happening, even by mistake, I just make sure that I empty the table first and then run it. Now it's emptying it and inserting it once. So if I run it now and check what I have there, I have only two rows, okay? That's why I put the truncate before the insert command. Beautiful. Some things will be for dim location. I will leave it to you as an exercise to understand what's happening here. Very simple. I'm putting the location from this table and I'm entering it into this dim location, making sure I'm emptying it first. Let's run it. Beautiful. Location, we have 3 rows. Same things for dim department. on it, and the command are exactly similar concept. Okay, we have left with the last one, and the reason I left it for the last one because it's slightly different. Okay, the first row, it's already familiar to us. We're just making sure that the dim month is empty. In fact, it will do nothing because I know it's empty. I just created it, okay? Later on, I have a 12 insert command. Each row here is a command, okay? Why? I'm inserting into the dim month, but this time, different than the previous table, here I entered into one column. Here I'm entering into two columns. In order to enter into two columns, I might provide two values. So for the first column, I'm going to put the number 1. For the second column, I'm going to put January. Pay attention that here is different than what we used here. Here we pull the data from a table and we insert it into here. Here, in fact, we are inserting it into this table. We're telling him to which columns to enter, but we're providing manually which exact value. So the first row, when I run this one, this is really one query. And this one will enter only one row. Let's say that there is only one row. In fact, it tells me that there is only one row. So if I will open the month, the dim month, I should see there only one row. Exactly, only January. But I really want to run all of them. And if I ask in the exam, okay, I will empty it, by the way. I will empty and run all of them. For every month, I'm just making sure I'm putting the right number for every month. If I run this command, it's really like 13 SQL command. The first one is emptying the table, and then there is 12 commands. Each one of them will insert one row at a time. So let's run it. It's empty the table, and then it runs 12 times to enter 12 rows. How do I know that this really did the job? I go into here, and let's look at the table of the months. Indeed, I have 12 rows every month. Now you ask yourself, why did you do it? Why you didn't do it in the same method you did all the other tables? Very simple, because the column month, okay, it's if I will sort the months alphabetically, they will not be in the order I would like to. So to make sure I'm organizing the months in the right order, I put 1 for January, 2 for February. So when I want to sort months, I will sort them by the column called PK. Okay, beautiful. So we're done now with all the dimension tables and going to the fact table. Okay, now we have to deal with the fact table. First of all, we have to create it. We haven't created it yet. To remind you, we have 4 dimension tables. All of them have a primary key of small integer. So all those 4 columns will be connected to the dimension. So this is why I need a column for each one of them. And the last one will have a decimal, exactly the amount. This is remind you the table we used last time. Just in the previous one, we didn't make sure that all the columns will have only numbers. And that's what we're going to do now. I'm going to create this table first, very similar to the table we created last time. Now that I have the table, I need to populate it, and this is the command, okay? This is to populate the fact table that we just created. Again, the first row, emptying the table just in case I click by mistake twice, so I don't fill it up twice, a couple times. So this one just for that purpose. Then we have an insert into. Now all the columns here will be populated. That's why I don't need to put in parentheses the name of the columns. I could, but I don't really have to because I'm going to populate all the columns. And now, how am I going to populate it? In fact, this is the select command here. Let's run it and see how it looks like. If I click on it, and then in a second, I will explain what does it do. In fact, this is exactly the structure of the fact table I wanted it to look like. I have only numbers. That's good. And I made sure that in the type, we will have only two numbers, 1 and 2, one for budget, and the second one, when it starts forecast, it changes to 2, exactly as I had in the original table. Some things I did for the other one. And how did I do it? And here is the trick. Let's look at the SQL command. First of all, in the SQL command, we have 3 parts. We have the select part, we have the form, and we have the while. That's the simple one. The more complicated one we see in another video. Okay? The form enumerates all the tables I'm going to use in this query. And in fact, I'm just enumerating all of them. If you see that, the first one, from task DW, I call it T, that coming from the original table we created in the previous video. Here we have, and this is alias to the name of the table. Here we have dim department, the alias is D. So I don't, when I want to use this table, I don't have to repeat myself all the time with the whole name. I can just use the letter D. The same things I'm doing for all of them. By the way, in the SQL, it really doesn't matter. You can put them in one row, or you can just split them as you wish. It doesn't make any difference. Okay? They're very different than Python. In Python, it's very crucial the way you organize the code. Okay? Okay, so I have all those 5. Okay, and now I'm going to connect each dimension with the T. The place I connect them is in the where. In the where I say T department, connect this column in the T table to the department in the D table. Okay, so those two will be connected now. After they are connected, okay, in fact, I can use in the select any column that I want from the T or from the D. Same things is true for the other one. I'm connecting the T to the L, which is the location dimension. But which columns do I use? I use the column location in the T table with the column location in the L table. Same things about the month and the same for the type. After I'm connecting them, which columns do I really want to get out? I'm interested in the primary key from the P table. If you remember in the type, yeah, we have had only 2, budget and forecast. But I don't really want the budget and I don't want the forecast. I want to use the number 1 and 2. So after I connect the 2 tables, I'm pulling out in the select the primary key from the P table. And therefore, and I'm going to call this column to be primary key. Let me run it again. That's really, in fact, what we're getting when we're running it. We get up. Did I forget something? Yeah, I did. Okay, let me mark everything, run it, and it should be fine. Here we go. That's the beauty. I connected by the type when I'm pulling the primary key from the dimension table. And therefore, this table now I can enter it into the fact table. And that's the purpose of the first command. So let me mark the whole things. But let's just be careful. Maybe I made a mistake and I ran it twice. So let's just mark also the truncate, and the truncate just will empty the table just in case it's full. For now, we know it's empty. Okay, now that I run, it's emptying the table and inserting all the columns. Okay, so also the task fact table, it's full now. I have 5 tables. Okay, let me close that. Let me close that. Let's look at the schema again. We have all the 5 tables. We created each one of them. We populated them as they should be, but where's the link? We didn't create the link. There are SQL commands to do that. I'm not going to ask you because, as I said, you're not going to be a DBA, but you really need to know that there should be a link. And there's a really easy way for a non-DBA to create a link between tables. And in the SSMS, there is what it says, a diagram. So I'm going to create a new database diagram. It's going to open an empty page. I'm going to choose the tables I need according to the schema, all those 5. For example, I need the DIN date, so I'm going to add it to the diagram. I'm going to add the next one, which is the department. In fact, okay, and the same things I will do for location, month, and the fact table, okay? Location, and we have the month, and just make sure I pick up the right table, this one that I need, the other ones I don't really need, and I click add. Now that I have all the 5, I will be able to close it, and here's all the 5. I usually like to put the fact table to be in the middle, and there's one around it, just like in the diagram we had. And what is the last one? Yeah, anybody wants to guess? Okay, if you can't find it, Microsoft would put a little viewer here. It's a little nice. You can go down here, you find it, and then just go back. The same viewer, go back to the same place, and now you'll be able to drag it. So let's just put this here. It doesn't really matter the order or the place I put them. I just like to put them some kind of around and then make the link. How do I make the link? I click on the little key here, just first one time, right click and drag. Keep your finger on the mouse and click it and make sure you're putting it to the primary key that goes with the month. So here we go. You have PT month. I'm dragging it right to there, release it, and it will create all the code I need in order to make it. Okay, just make sure you didn't drag it to the wrong column. Okay, that's done for the month. Do the same things. Okay, for the department, I'm going to drag it to the department, and it's going to create all what's necessary. Just make sure, yeah, that's fine. Okay, we'll do the same things for the date. And here we go. What is the date? Type, location, department. And here, I put the wrong table. I don't really need this table for now. Dim table, cancel. So cancel. Let's remove that one. Not bad. Good. So we can remove the table. Don't delete. Yeah, remove from diagram, okay? Don't delete the table, otherwise it will actually delete. Let's put the one that it's missing here, which is, if I'm not wrong, it's the type. If I'm not wrong, let's see, a table. And let's see what we have here. Yeah, the type I forgot before. Bingo. Okay, that's help us to really see how you really remove a table from the diagram and put another one. This is the one I really needed, and by mistake I picked up the wrong one. Okay, let's see the dim. Let's put it right into the type. Make sure it is the right one. Okay, and finally the last one. By the way, if you just close it now and you don't save the diagram, all those links will go away. It won't really create. It's creating it only when you're saving the diagram. So when you're saving the diagram, I'm just calling it whatever name. It doesn't really make difference for us. As he's saving the diagram, now he's really creating actually the code to create the links between the table, and he's going to pop up with a little window to allow you to confirm that that's really what you want it to do. Okay, and he's telling me really, If I really want to save all those ones, saving means with the new changes we just made, and I'm saying yes, all the links between them are created. Okay, this is concluding, okay, the session of part 1